path to the top. The sun was dipping towards the horizon. It cast long shadows from the cypress trees, dappled where they were festooned with vines or ivy. Less than an hour until darkness. Ballista circled the base of the statuary. No door, no trapdoor, nothing. There had to be another way down, a passageway for gardeners, plants, servants. He looked around wildly. Under the cypresses, the garden was thickly planted with fruit trees and flower beds. Paths radiated out. There were hedges, potted plants, heavy garden furniture, small fountains, more statues. The service access would be carefully hidden. The elite did not want to see slaves when they were enjoying the views. There was no time to search. Ballista thought of the light wells. No. Even if he could find one of them, it would be too narrow, offer no handholds. Another thought came to him. He took the path down to the east. There was a thin wooden rail above a delicate and ornamental screen along the edge of the garden, with yet more statues at intervals. Ballista did not look at the city spread out beyond the river, barely glanced at the swollen waters of the Tiber at the foot of the monument. He gripped the sculpted marble leg of Antinous, the doomed boy loved by Hadrian. A Roman might have been troubled by the association. As heir to the different world view of the North, such omens did not bother Ballista. He had a head for heights, and leant out as far as he dared over the rail. The cladding of the mausoleum was white marble. The blocks were so artfully fitted together that there was barely a discernible line where they joined. No hope of a fingerhold. 70 foot or more of smooth, sheer wall down to the base. After that ledge, perhaps another 40 foot down, to the narrow embankment and the river. No way to climb down. Ballista ran back to the head of the stairs, opened the door. The men were nearing the top. Their laboured ascent was loud. There was nothing else for it. Without any conscious thought, Ballista went through his own silent pre-battle ritual. Right hand to the dagger on his right hip, pulled it an inch or so out of its sheath, then snapped it back. Left hand on the scabbard of his sword, right hand pulling the blade a couple of inches free before pushing it back. Finally, he touched the healing stone tied to the scabbard. All-Father Warden, watch over your descendant. Do not let me disgrace my forefathers. If I am to die, let me die as one worthy of my ancestors. Ballista took off his cloak and wound the thick material around his left forearm as a makeshift shield, arranging the folds so that about a foot was hanging down to catch and entangle the weapon of an opponent. He did not want to die. There was too much to live for. His wife Julia, their sons Isangrim and Dernhelm, his closest friend Maximus. He pushed the thoughts away. There were no choices. Either fight his way through or fall sword in hand. If he were to die, let it not be as a coward. Ballista drew his sword with a flourish, like some martial vision imagined by a priest. Do not think, just act. He went back through the door, pulled it shut, and took his station behind the last corner of the stairs. The men were near the top. It was a pity the stairway was wide enough for 2 men to attack at once. 3, if they risked encumbering each other. Heavy footfalls, grunts of effort, the rattle of weapons. They were almost upon him. Sword down across his body, his back to the steps, Ballista stilled his breathing. Setting his boots close together, he balanced on the balls of his feet. Just wait. Not long now. Wait. The noise of their approach thundered back off the walls, nearer and nearer, building to a crescendo. Now! He stepped out and swung the blade backhanded in one fluid motion. The edge of the steel caught the first man full in the face. A spray of blood, hot and stinging Ballista's eyes. The other stopped, stunned by the attack as unexpected as an apparition. Infernal gods, there are so many of them. Ballista recovered his blade from the ruined face and shoved the man down the stairs. The mortally injured man clawed at those on either side, collided with those behind. Densely packed, they all staggered back, clutching at each other, struggling not to fall. "Kill him!" Further down the stairs, someone was yelling. Ballista advanced, thrust at a figure to his right. The man blocked with military precision, but gave ground anyway. 10, 12 or more, Ballista could not see them all. The throng stretched around the curve out of view. "He's alone! Kill him!" The voice from below was high with emotion, but vaguely familiar. 2 men readied themselves. The others waited a few steps below. This was bad. They knew their business and did not intend to get in each other's way. They were dressed in civilian clothes, but were equipped for the task. Each held a gladius. The short sword had gone out of fashion with the legions, but in a confined space was a nimbler weapon than the long blade Ballista carried. The 2 glanced at one another, then